Hey, welcome back to the Real Estate Excellence Podcast with your host, Tracy Hayes. Who is going to the RE Bar Camp here in St. Augustine, January 27th? Well, today I have the keynote speaker for that event on the show. She has more designations than I care to mention. She is not only a real estate agent, but an international best-selling author, keynote speaker, member of the Chicago Association of Realtors, amongst other things. She's also a podcast host of her podcast, Social Selling Made Simple, which all of you should subscribe to. She's a creator of many real estate educational courses. Her current training is called the Six Figure Realtor Workshop. She has over 25 years of marketing experience, has taught realtors how to earn up to 2,682% of return on their marketing spend. I got to figure out how you did that. She has earned numerous awards and has been featured in Forbes, Washington Post, Homes.com, Realtor Magazine, CBS News, Chicago, CNBC. In addition, she holds over 50 real estate-related licenses and certifications and designations. Let's welcome the 2023 RE Bar Camp One Coast keynote speaker, Marki Lemons to the show.
What's going on today? I'm your girl, Marki Lemons, right? Real estate keynote speaker, 6-time international best-selling author, and I can tell you already 2023 is going to be and is lit. It's lit. L-I-T.
Well, I could tell you're already digging in by our pre-show, and we'll get to that in a minute. And I'm just really happy to get you on because I want everyone to get excited, obviously, to pump up. Over 1,200 tickets plus have been sold. So there's going to be a huge audience there for the event. There's going to be a lot of energy. And I enjoy seeing a lot of the local agents. Plus, from what I understand from Kim Knapp, that there's 6 other states represented from people coming from other places coming in as well. So it's really going to be a great event, January 27th. But Marki, as I start off every show, I want to get my audience, tell us about, where did you grow up? And I know you have several degrees from master's degrees from several universities. And then what led you into real estate?
Oh, well, thank you for asking. I was born and raised in the restaurant business here in Chicago. I am a proud Chicago 5th generation entrepreneur. I birthed a 6th generation entrepreneur. So my oldest son is a 2nd generation realtor. So my family owns Chicago's 2nd oldest Black restaurant. We've been in business since 1954. We've sold more pork rib tips than anybody else in the city of Chicago. And my grandfather has been inducted into the Barbecue Hall of Fame.
One day when I visit Chicago, I'll have to go by there. I've never been to Chicago. We have to go by
there. We got to get you to Chicago and we got to get you some limbs. And so my mother started a concession business when I was 12 years old, quit her job as a dietitian. And I worked side by side with my grandfather at the barbecue restaurant and my mother in the concession business. In 1999, my father's sister sued me because I owned the trademark rights for our family's business name. And I had to countersue my family. In the process, I wanted to earn an above average income, yet feel like a stay-at-home mom. And I thought that my loan originator had done a fabulous job, right? Originating the loans because I had bought my first property at the age of 24. So I said, I'm going to go do what Dennis does. And I went and I worked side by side with Dennis and I became a loan originator. And in the process, I earned my real estate license in 2002. Now, here's what's funny. I did not take the pre-license course. I was not a sales agent. I came in as a licensed real estate broker and decided that I should own my own real estate company. I realized quickly that the pre-license course, even though I didn't take the pre-license course, but I had to read the pre-license book to sit for the exam, didn't teach me buckets, right, about selling real estate. And so I'm like, dang, I'm dumb. I don't know nothing. And I pride myself on education. I'd already had a master's degree and had already taught on a collegiate level. So I said, I need to go and figure this thing out. And so I earned the ABR designation that first year selling real estate, the second year in 2004, because I didn't even leverage the license till 2003. But in 2004, I was in the top 10% of realtors in the city of Chicago. I closed $12 million in volume. That came to 72 closed transactions.
Wow.
So that's how I came. I came in because I wanted to feel like a stay-at-home mom and earn an above average income without going back to school again.
Right.
That's how I got here. Look, And now today, 64, right, real estate designation, certifications, and licenses later. Clearly, I believe in education, but I did not want to have to go back to school.
Right. But, well, I mean, obviously, going through your bio and so forth, I mean, you have just a passion for creating and sharing with others is what I was reading between the lines.
Yeah, I do. And let me tell you why. So my grandfather did not graduate from 8th grade. And when he arrived in Chicago from Indianola, Mississippi, he had one pair of shoes and they had holes in them. And my grandfather said he thought he was a rich man when he had two pair of shoes and neither had holes in them. Well, if you were to go to a famous Dave's barbecue restaurant, there's a picture of Lamb's Barbecue as a part of their national decor. And that's because when they wanted to know about the barbecue business, they came and had a talk with Mr. Lemons. And what my grandfather taught me was, Marki, competition is healthy for business. Give it all away. And he didn't tell me this, but this is what I learned from that lesson. When you give it away, you're forced to do better. You're forced to try new things. So I am consistently giving it away because I understand, and I saw it with my own two eyes, how a man dies, a millionaire, a self-made millionaire who had nothing. And his pride and joy was his financial ability to take care of not only his children, his grandchildren, and his great-grandchildren because he came from contribution. So what I bring to real estate is what I saw my mother and my grandfather do every single day.
That's beautiful. I think, one of the key phrases that's used a lot with a lot of the top agents that I have come in is collaboration. And many of them I've seen sit down with many of other real estate agents that have called them up and say, hey, can we sit down? I want, have an idea, or, hey, I'm struggling, or whatever it is. And again, you're feeding into that with the heart in willing to collaborate, realizing competition is better. And not everybody is going to run with what you tell them. And no one else is Marki Lemons. You are you. That's the unique thing. And we all have our own unique circles of people who we hang with, people who get along with us and people who don't get along with us, and it's all different. But to go out there and obviously raise the bar for real estate in general, is obviously the common denominator that everyone could feed into. When you first went to school, you got your undergrad from Chicago State. Is that correct?
Yes.
Get the colleges
hospitality management
in my notes. I mean, what was your dream at 18, 19, 20 years old? I mean, aspiration for a career. I can't believe it was mortgage lending.
It was not mortgage lending, but here's what's kind of funny. I'm going to pull this out for you. Just so happen I have it sitting here. This is my high school memory book. Okay.
Oh my goodness.
And in my high school memory book, it says what I will be doing in 10 years. I will have my own business with 2 children driving some expensive foreign car. Okay. My career goals. Now get this. My career goals. This is 17-year-old Marki talking to herself.
Right.
To own my own business and be the best I can in my field of study. So I was clear at 17, right? What I wanted to do, that I wanted to be the best. I've never been mediocre, just do something to do it has never been my thing. I probably also get that from my mother and my grandfather. And so if I'm going to do something, I'm going to do it right, or I'm going to tell you no, period. That's just, and even though I do a lot, because I'm a workaholic, I say no to so many things. And here would be an example. Someone got me together last week. Someone came to me and said, Marki, why don't you start a real estate speakers bureau? I'm like, oh, that's not what I'm called to do. I'm not here to, I don't really do a good job at managing other people. That's not my forte per se, right? I said, I'm not going to do that. But I wrote like a 20-point bullet list, right? Of things that you should do if you want to become a real estate keynote speaker. Join Toastmasters, join the National Association, Speakers Association, check out RIA, go to Rapid. Lee Brown can help you. Adorna Carroll can help you. Here 3 Real Estate Speakers Bureau. I broke it all down. So someone came on a post. They said, so you just said, no, you're not going to help us, but you gave us a list of how to do it. Right. I wrote you one list that took me 20 minutes because what I'm not going to do is take 20 to 30 hours to develop this course and then make it a part of my daily job. I'm going to point everybody back to that list. That list is done now. Look, I'm not going to do this, but here's people who can help you do it. And the reason that I do that, I don't ever want anyone to say that they feel like I was a roadblock or I tried to impede their growth, but I'm not going to allow you to come in and slow my growth.
Right. Right. No, and they can only walk away with, you did give them something. You didn't not answer their call. You respond and say, hey, I really don't have time for this, but here's a list I just spent 20, 30 minutes on, filter this out, call Lee Brown, whatever it may be, make some phone calls and research this, but this will, give you kind of a skeleton outline of where to go. There's no doubt we can be taken off the tracks quickly. And I think we're all susceptible to that, especially visionaries. I fall into that visionary thing. We can be distracted by a lot of things. It's the integrators that really actually put the road to the tire to the road, so to speak. What are you doing on a regular basis? Because you're creating a lot of content. You're working on courses that you're doing and so forth. But what do you do outside? Are you a podcast listener, a book reader? Obviously, you go to a lot of events because you're involved in a lot of different events, and I'm sure you take from the other speakers that are there. What do you do to stay out in front?
What do I do to stay out in front? So if we were to come back, I am a book reader and I journal, okay? Actually, I already have my Christian planner for this year, okay? So I am always the one who's writing down and reading a book. The reason is I, for a period of time, had stopped doing that. And instantly I realized that my productivity went down. So I came back and I implemented again. So journaling, writing down, and I have notebooks galore, and they all have something different in them, okay? Stay out in front. I don't think I've ever told it.
Was there a particular type of book you're reading? Or, I mean, do you do pleasure reading, or is it more business development? What do you?
I don't do no pleasure reading. Facebook and Instagram is all the pleasure I need, right? So no, here's what's funny. Yesterday, because I just started a new business, a new passive income business. So Russell Brunson from ClickFunnels, his father consulted me yesterday on my new business structure. And tomorrow I have a call with and I guess it's his brother, Rick Brunson, or his uncle, right? Mm-hmm. So I'm always reading something, either business development, but right on top of that is the movie The Secret. My parents were recovering addicts, so A Day in the Life of Al-Anon. So either I am professional development or personal development. Mindset is key. Right now, I'm working on getting out of my own way. I don't have a lot of negativity surrounding me. I'm very good at eliminating people. I was playing with a new tool called Hamantics the other day. It told me, I already knew I was a high D high, but right at the top in big, bold red letters, it didn't even say straight shooter. It said sharp shooter, right? And I'm like, how does this platform know my personality? So it takes social media and pulls in your disc so you know the personality of the people in which you're meeting with before you actually meet with them. So mindset and moving out of my way, not being stale. So I'm consistently educating myself on new systems and processes. How do we make this better? How do we make this better? How do we make this better? Some things I eliminate. So last year, I decided to delete Twitter, Clubhouse, Snapchat, and TikTok. Now, keep it, because I have to clarify this because so many people have taken offense who haven't listened to what I'm saying, okay? Right. That is not, here's the word, preferred location of my target audience. Now, is my target audience on those platforms? Yes. Are they viable platforms? Yes. Is it the preferred destination of females age 45 to 54 to go let their head down and tell all their business? No, it is not. Therefore, I hang out where they prefer to be and are willing to tell their business. And that's about understanding your target audience, right? Mm-hmm. So I do business is never my feelings aren't easily hurt. I'm in this because this is a business. I just happen to love what I do and I like people. I was social before. social media ever came about. I was a social butterfly, check mark, and failure to exercise self-control every quarter of grammar school. That was me, poster child for talk too much, right?
Right.
And so when we start thinking about how I'm standing out, it's always coming back to what do my consumers need and want, and how do I make it better?
Two things there. Since you brought up the target audience, and one of my guests I had on, and actually they do my back end work at Streamline Media, Carl Sonia, and he was talking about, I asked him the question, well, how long does it take to find out where on social media your target audience is? Because everyone has the suggestions. Now, you've been putting out a lot of content for some time. Did you take that analysis after several months, years of putting out content and seeing where you were getting the most, feedback or return on when you narrowed that social media platforms down?
Yes, but let me tell you, it took some time, but let me tell you where the thought process came from. Mm-hmm. When I decided to come from being a loan originator to the real estate side, it's because I was looking at my business plan. It was a simple mathematical equation. I would make more money per transaction as a realtor than I would as a loan originator, okay, based on the price point. So I said, you know what? Look, I'm an unwedded mother. How am I going to feel like a stay-at-home mom and earn above average income? I need to leverage my broker's license. Now, when I decided to come over to the real estate side of the business, I'm realizing quickly that I should have made a shift as a loan originator that I did not make. And the shift was I needed to shift my sphere of influence to the price point in which I wanted to sell at. What do I mean by that? The rule of thumb is a person can afford a house at 2.5 times their gross annual income. At that time, I wanted to sell $250,000 houses, but my friends weren't earning six-figure incomes. That then meant that if it was based on their income, I would only be selling $125,000 houses because they were making about $50,000 a year.
Right.
Instantly, I knew that I needed to shift my sphere to sell more expensive houses, right? So then you come online and you bring in that same philosophy over to online platforms. I will tell you, I honestly thought that I was the cool chick hanging out with a lot of men. And I still am the cool chick, but there was one difference. I got married and I had another kid. When you get married, your language changes, okay? So now as a married woman, right, I don't have as many men in my sphere as I do women. Now, to get to that sweet spot, my 45 to 54-year-old age bracket, I actually grew into it. So to me, everything that I do feels like I'm hanging out with my girlfriends all day. So now at this point, because I'm in that age bracket and I am that age bracket, I need to identify what problems are in my age bracket so that I can retire successfully with my sphere of influence. So here's what's different. I'm actually coming down to Clearwater, Florida, after I come down to Jacksonville or St. Augustine, right?
Right.
Because I am going to go and take the CDS, the Certified Divorce Specialist, because my friends are getting divorced. And at this age, it's not one real estate transaction. It's multiple real estate transactions. It's second homes. It's investment properties. So that now I understand I'm them, right? I just do this thing out the industry with them and I retire successfully. But most people wouldn't have got their mind wrapped around what are the future issues of your age bracket? Go get trained on that now so you can be more well-versed.
Brilliant.
Right?
Yep.
And that was up against metaverse. I decided my friends can't even get their heads wrapped around Instagram, right? And my husband don't even have a Facebook account. He thinks Facebook is the work of the devil, okay? Why?
Well, it is, but...
It is. He has a valid point. It is. But why am I going to force feed metaverse down their throat when I understand divorce is a true issue? Pump the brakes. Just like I deleted Snapchat, TikTok, Clubhouse, and Twitter, I don't need to talk about the metaverse, right? I can talk about the psychology and mentality. And here's what I know I'm going to learn from the CDS. it's going to teach me how to work problematic real estate transactions better.
No, that's that right there. I mean, it's when you mention it, you talk about it, it's like, oh, that's common sense. But we're not thinking about it. We're not, putting it down to, finding that in that niche. Because when you said 45 to 54, I'm like, man, you really have your avatar, narrowed down. And, how did you actually get there? And you just explained that why you're in that age group or, in that targeting decade there is because that's what's going on. It's your wheelhouse age, group and so forth. And then you're leveraging in that. I want to step back, listening to everything you've said. And obviously you started off telling us about, by your second year, you had 72 transactions. You were, top 10% of the realtors in Chicago. For those new agents that are here, or maybe an agent who got started, but not really off to a great start, what were some of the things that you were doing back then? And I can only imagine, because this drive that you had is only continued to fuel itself. I can only imagine you started off the real estate business with a high drive for education and drive, but just talk about that first couple of years and some of the things that you were doing to really get yourself out there as a real estate agent.
So I came from a sales and marketing background, and I'm going to tell a different story.
Okay.
I hired a copyright expert this year. And when I'm sitting down talking to the copyright expert and she's interviewing me, I became sad. And the reason I became sad is because as real estate professionals, we come into the industry and we believe that the pre-license course taught us how to sell real estate. We believe that with that one course, we're going to be good. Well, you quickly realize the pre-license course does not teach you how to sell real estate. It teaches you consumer protection, period, right?
Yep.
So now you got this real estate license, but you don't know nothing. You don't know bupkis. And I had reached out to the National Association of Realtors about Article 11, right? Competency. And I said, well, what makes a person competent? They said, well, we believe a person is competent if they pass the pre-license course. I said, well, I know for a fact that's a lie, right? I'm the person who did not take the class, and I can let you know for sure I didn't know anything, right? And so then we come into an industry that we don't pay our taxes. And because we're not paying our taxes, we don't pay into Social Security. We do not set money aside for retirement. So we have to do this until the day that we die to be able to survive. That's sad. I don't want that to be, period. And so with that being said, I treat real estate like a business. Two things. I've always had a business plan and I've always had a database. And that would even go back to high school. Just like I had, keep this memory book, I had a black book. So then we still had rotary dial telephones. Actually, we might have had the little touch tone phone by that point.
Yeah.
And I had everybody's information in a phone book. And I carried my phone book with me. God, I just dated myself. Every place that I went, right? And so I had a database and a business plan before I ever came into real estate. So the first two things, if we were to go back to how we became successful, we made that list of 100 people. We sent them a direct mail piece and we got on the telephone with our warm market. So now today we have other tools. We can do different things. We can send an email. We can text them, right? We can FaceTime them. There's so many other things that we could do, but we still went back to that foundation of 100, right? And that's essentially how we got our first couple of deals. Tell you what I did different. Back in the day, they had all these little cute sayings, like, let's say it was a bag of popcorn and let me help your business pop, right? It was something like that. 1,000 grand bar, right? I literally had printed those sheets out, went to the wholesale store, had the popcorn, had whatever candy bar was at that time. And I was going around meeting people with my flyer and the candy bar attached to it. My automobile was wrapped. I ran a classified ad every single day in the back of the Chicago Sun-Times. I was using house values. My Mercedes station wagon was wrapped with my company name. I had billboards and bus benches. Here's what's funny. The only thing I would do today that I was doing then is direct mail. I'm not doing benches anymore because guess what people are doing? Looking down at their phone.
Yeah.
They're not looking at the benches. They're not looking at the billboards.
Or the
They're
bus
looking
going
down.
by.
Yeah, they're looking down. They're down, right?
Yeah.
And then hopefully they'll see what's in front of them, but their heads are down now, right? So when I'm thinking their heads are down, I need to be in the palm of your hand.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
On Facebook, on Yelp, because they surely getting ready to figure out where they're going to eat, right? All of those different things. So I'm trying to be in the palm of your hand today and not as many places as I was. But one thing is the business plan and a database.
So when someone comes up to you, which I imagine is probably daily, and says, "Hey, I'm a young person, and I'm looking," I think there's a lot more young people in the business today than there were, in the 80s when we were growing up. And at that time, I've mentioned it on several shows. I mean, a lot of the stereotypical real estate agent was really not all, but 2/3 of probably the audience, if not more, were wives or a spouse of a successful corporate person who had that regular job, and they just started tinkering in real estate, and it just got bigger, better. Now you see these 25-year-olds, 30-year-olds killing it here. I see a lot of them. I've had a lot of them on the show. So I imagine that group, the 20s, when we're trying to figure things out, are coming to you and asking you about real estate. What do you say to them?
I'm saying to them what I just said, but let me say this. So my son is a second-generation realtor. He's 26 years old.
Mm-hmm.
In our office is him, and I have successfully recruited 4 people under the age of 27. I'm having the same discussion with them. However, their discussion's a little different. So even though I'm 52 or 5.2, okay,
I'm 52. I didn't realize that. Yeah, we're the exact same age. Yeah.
Same age. I create video content every single day.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm definitely having social media technology. Who is your target audience? Where are they spending their time at? And here's what's kind of funny. Last week, my son, Skylar, he went to go do a video for a health food store down the street from our pork barbecue restaurant. Mm. This video has blown up on TikTok. The owner of Dr. Whoever, Sanak, has found a way to find my son because they're getting so many new clients coming in because of the TikTok video. Now, mind you, I told my son to do this video series a year ago. I'd already told him that. So what I'm realizing,
we're too old. We don't know anything.
Yeah, we don't know anything. So what I've come to realize when it comes to my son, he is not receptive to what I'm saying and how I'm saying it. Yeah. Somebody else has to say it first. And then he comes back and he says, and I'll say, I can pull up emails, text messages. You do know that that's exactly what I said, right? And I'm no longer offended because I was offended at first, right?
Right.
About the fact. So I'm giving it to them straight. Sometimes they're listening, sometimes they aren't. But it's the same rule of thumb, right? It's the tools that have changed. You still need to have a business plan, and you still need to have a database. Oh, we don't call it a database anymore. Your CRM, your customer relationship management system, you still need to have one.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, obviously there's the mom-son transaction there, right? But the other young people in there, obviously they see your success and so forth. And I often think it's because they're in it. They're like living it. They're, if we knew what we know today when we were 25 years old, where would we be? Right. And so we're looking back and saying, man, I know where to use that tool because I've got 25 years on you. You see this tool, but you don't see what it can do for you. I do, because I got 25 more years ahead of you on this track. And to me, that's where the disconnect is. It's a natural thing. They're young and, we all were, I wouldn't say young and, we'll just say young and dumb, but young and didn't realize a lot of things that were going on, around us, where you put 25 years of worldly experience. We could say, you know what? I see where that tool could be leveraged because I've got 25 years on.
Well, here's what's kind of funny, though. This is me siding with them, right? You and I leverage technology. There's a larger percentage that don't. So they don't have any idea where to leverage that tool in the business because they failure to adapt.
Yeah.
And so when I said, come back to the fact that I said the CDS versus the metaverse, I'm clear about the failure to adapt and that I would be force feeding people. And if I haven't gotten them to adapt up to this point, why would I give them something else?
Well, that just really just transitions me into the second half of this show, which is really what I want to dig into your knowledge, because I as much as I try to get out there, and I was a little bit ahead of myself back in October. I reached my 100th episode, which I know you're near your 100th episode as well. And it was back in October, and I put on this class. I had a couple other agents. Actually, one was a marketing director with one of the large brokerages, and one was another agent who does a lot of social media. So my part of the presentation, creating content, was the theme. And my part of it was using a podcast. You don't have to create your own podcast. You could be guest on a bunch of podcasts. And it's a great way to have a whole month worth of content when you start cutting the reels and the statements out and, putting yourself out there. I kind of put myself in front because I was just launching my YouTube channel now. Now I'm going back into all these videos that I've been doing for the first 100 episodes, even a year ago, and going in and cutting reels out of these things. And it's, between YouTube shorts, of course, Facebook has its reels now. Instagram, I don't overwhelm. I try to keep my most recent episodes and building my little Instagram part there, but I also been throwing them on TikTok, because you can just take the same reel and put it across all platforms, within a few minutes. And so people are all of a sudden now going, oh my God, look at this huge, the amount of content that Tracy's producing. Now, if I go back and teach the class, they're going to have a different perspective of what I'm talking about, because if they just look every day, they're getting 3 or 4 different reels from me, because I have a pile of content. And of course, so I was selling the part on being if not a, start a podcast, be a guest on podcasts, because we're all looking for good guests. I bring in a couple each week. Hey folks, this episode was produced by Streamline Media, the #1 media company for helping brands generate content that converts. I knew I wanted to start a podcast to reach more people and bring value to the world, but I did not have the time or the knowledge. Streamline Media became my secret weapon to building my show. They handle all my back-end work, production, and strategies to keep my show going strong. If you're in the real estate business and looking to make content that generates more leads and brings in more revenue, check out the Streamline Media link in the show notes and discover how partnering up can supercharge your path to real estate excellence. To start this transition, let's jump right into what we were talking pre-show with this cutting edge. Take your notes, people, listeners, to get your notepad. Chat GPT. Tell us what's going on there.
So Chat GPT, maybe about 2 weeks ago, right? Gary V comes over, and I'm sure he was on TikTok, and he talks about a new platform that's going to change everything for everybody. And it's essentially artificial intelligence. And so I watched the video, but I really didn't have time to engage with it. I actually put it on my calendar to come back and look at it. I pride myself on getting 7.5 hours of sleep every night. I have not slept essentially since playing with this tool. I've been going to bed 4 a.m., 2 a.m., 4 a.m., 2 a.m. Yeah. So I'm getting about 4 hours of sleep a night. But I'm waking up motivated, right, to come in and sit down and figure out how to monetize Chat GPT. So it's artificial intelligence. And the way that real estate professionals can leverage it in their business, think about any type of research that needs to be done, period. Okay. Think about your property descriptions, how to make them stand out, and even change the tone of those. So the way that I have leveraged it already in my business, when I am a podcaster, right? So how do we repurpose that content? I was already repurposing that content, video clip, podcast, headliners, doing audiograms, text to photo. We got a blog post, we got email marketing, all coming out of it, right?
Right.
I was writing a new book. I've actually completed the book because I have the intro to the book. I have written a new class because the Chat GPT told me what the title was. From the title, I was able to get a course description. From the course description, I was able to get learning objectives. So let me tell you what I did last night. What a lot of real estate educators don't do a good job at is writing their learning objectives according to, I think it's Bloom's taxonomy. And so when we're writing those learning objectives, I'm coming over here because I've downloaded the picture.
This is the master's degree in education coming out.
Yeah, this is it. This is it, right?
Yeah.
So when I am writing a course, and a lot of people don't know this, but you need to write like define, generate. Those would be some of the terms. So guess what? I put the fact that I wanted it to write me learning objectives for the title and for the description it gave me based on a theory. And it did that, right? So now my to-do list, the classes, the finishing the book, the research, new content coming out, property descriptions, everything created inside of ChatGPT.
Hold on a second. So you had a subject that you wanted to teach about, but you also told it your theory. Am I understanding that correctly?
Yes. And let me see, because I'm here now. So I'm wondering if I go over here to the platform, because I want to read this to you. So I already knew that I wanted to do a class on what AI would look like. So let me come back and I'm going to pull this up so I can read it to you and how I started this, the outline and information for this class. Okay, here will be an example. I want you to give me a book title and subtitle on a book about how to be successful in real estate market when the market shifts. And it gave me Navigating the Real Estate Market, a guide to success in shifting markets. I want you to give me 10 book titles and subtitles on a book about how to be successful in the real estate market when the market shifts, because it only given me one, right? So now it gives me The Adaptable Real Estate Investor, Strategies for Success in a Changing Market, Real Estate Success in Any Market, Proven Techniques for Buying, Selling, Flipping Properties, right? So then I said, write me a book introduction with friendly and engaging tone of voice for title number 5. Well, title number 5 was Mastering the Real Estate Market, a step-by-step guide to profitability in any market. You ready for this? Welcome to Mastering the Real Estate Market. If you're reading this book, chances are you're interested in learning how to succeed in the exciting and often unpredictable world of real estate investing. Whether you're a beginner looking to get started or an experienced investor looking to expand your portfolio, this book is for you. And it goes on.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, it's funny you bring this up because I've been spending a lot of time recently, especially, my YouTube channel goes out and I'm sending the reels out, and I kind of was, you go on YouTube, all these people have all this advice on how to get more views, and obviously people to stay on your channel, or stay on your video for longer periods of time and so forth. That's a big marker for them. But the key thing is just the title. So just this morning, I had a reel from a podcast I did a couple weeks ago, and the kind of coach I hired, we just kind of emailed back and forth. He said why someone shouldn't buy real estate right now. Something that was the title, so many words. And, why would a real estate agent, or why would we want to tell somebody not to buy real estate right now? Right. That's our business. But because it's contradicting our normal thing, or it's controversial. That's the word I want to use. It's a controversial title. Well, I put that out on YouTube this morning, and that reel within a couple hours had 1,000 views. And I actually emailed the agent. I said, "Hey, here's the YouTube link," and got it. And I emailed it to a couple of her teammates, and one of her teammates emailed back and said, "Yeah, that's a great reel and blah blah blah." But I don't, I not really like the title. And I told her why I chose the title. And that AI is picking up on that and knows what's trending, right? That's the word, trending. And that's hot.
Well, we could use it also for SEO, but get this. I said, compose a list of book chapter ideas. Mm-hmm. First one, getting started, the basics of real estate investing. Number 2, finding the right property, tips for successful property selection. Like when I tell you, this is a game changer. And it's a game changer because it is making people or saving people 84% of their time.
Yes.
So now we have to think about how we need to leverage it. So let me tell you what I did have to do. I had to have a discussion with myself. The discussion with myself was, do not come up with a new business. Enhance the businesses you already have. That's what I'm getting at. So don't you dare, Marki, go create yet another business. How are you going to leverage this to make every business you already have better?
So let's break it down simple for someone who might be watching, or obviously the audience that you'll be in front of on January 27th, how they are going to use this tool, because obviously they're not creating educational programs like you are and so forth. You're at another level, but on the, down on the street level, real estate agent, how would they use this chat GPT?
Well, first of all, every real estate professional should create content. And what I'm seeing is one too many glamour shots. People don't care. Your glamour shots do not solve consumers' problems. Okay. And so we need to go back. We need to do what is trending. So I always like to I'm going to do some type of Google research on what is trending right now. So I would go back over to google.com/trends, see what the trending subject is, take that back over to Chat GPT, come up with titles from the title. Now, keep in mind, the content inside of the system is good. I think they're working 2021. So it's only from 2021 back, okay? But we've been through shifting real estate markets before. So in those shifts, right, it's oftentimes going back to the basics. What does that look like? And so I'm going to take what's a trending subject, bring it over, get my titles, then get my content, my body for blog post. But the way that I believe I'm going to teach it when I come down there, because this was not my subject, so I got to talk to Kim if can we switch the subject up, is that you have it to write you a script, and then you take that script over to a platform called Pictory, PICTORY.ai, and you have the script to create you a faceless video that then you're going to come back and you're going to use on Instagram, on Facebook, on YouTube Shorts, let's see where else, on Pinterest and on LinkedIn. That's how
you bring that part up, and I have a question. I've asked my social media people, because one of the things I notice when a lot of agents are out there, just doing, hey, I got an open house today, or here's a new listing, and they're actually, they're using their phone to, walk through the house or whatever. How important is it for them to put themselves in the video at some time or another, so that people are building that relationship by seeing them and seeing their face and smile and so forth?
I'm going to say it's contingent upon really what that agent wants. So when I leave the house, I am known on the south side of the city of Chicago. Oftentimes, my youngest son and my husband do not like to go out in public with me because my face and my voice is recognized. So the question is, to what degree do you want to be recognized, right? So I like being recognized, but not only was I a social butterfly, I was always popular. So it's just a little higher level, right? But let me tell you, I think consistency is more important. And here's why I'm telling you. So my son, who has been on Instagram since 2014, only has 16 posts. The mass majority of these posts, let me just count, 3, 6, 9, 3, 6, 9, 12. 12 of the 16 posts have been made since April of 2021, okay? They're all Instagram Reels. The most popular number one Instagram Reels was a education Instagram Reels without his face. His second most engaged video was an education reel with his face, okay? The third most engaging reel was the fence only of Michael Jordan's house. From there, he only has, of the 12 videos, his face is only in one.
Right.
It's the consistency. And do you provide value, whether your face is in it or not? Now, people know who he is only because he has the other posts definitely are just pictures, are 4 pictures. So he has, of his 16 posts, 12 are reels, 4 are photos. So they know who he is from the other content. But his reels have done very successful in bringing him more visibility, whether he's in the reel or not. People know him because of the photos he's posted on his profile.
So do you want to mix it? I mean, because obviously as a real estate agent, I mean, you're branding yourself, right?
Yes.
And so he's got a reel that brings them in, the educational piece. He's not actually in it, but it is on his Instagram page. So do you that consistency of putting yourself in some of them so he is recognizable. So a client does see the reel and say, well, this guy seems to know what he's talking about. I want to know what he even looks like. Because I'm going to meet him at a house or I'm going to come to the office. I want to know who am I coming to see?
So his brand is consistent on all platforms. He only has, all of his listings have professional photos. So there's some things he's definitely done that he's done consistently. So for me, I'm going to have my face in all of the videos, right? I'm consistently putting my face out there. And my audio, because video is the only form of content you can repurpose without recreating. But I want that level of visibility. So when agents tell me, one told me yesterday that she was old and grumpy. And I said, no, you're old to me is seasoned to perfection. And I'm telling her, especially for that seasoned professional who does not like how they look, create consistent video without your face, because viral videos don't always have a face in it, right? So get consistent with the faceless videos, but not having video, that's an excuse. So I want you to consistently create videos, whether they have your face or not.
Okay. Well, because the important thing is getting it. Don't let because I think you're going down the route is they're not doing video because they themselves don't like the way they look or don't think others do, which I think is totally false. I think, the people who like and trust us, see our face and accept it for what it is. But don't let that get in your way, because you can consistently doing video, putting your logo out there so people are seeing that, they're seeing your name, hearing your name, but to consistently be in front of them, top of mind on the social media.
Yes, most definitely. And so consistency is key. Video is key. You get to decide if you're going to put your face in it. And let me say this. If I did not have access to my son's analytics, I couldn't tell you that. But I am clear that people are liking, saving, and sharing his videos because I made him send me his analytics so that we could do that side-by-side comparison. No, you might not do videos like I do, and you might not have, an Instagram reel that's been viewed 170,000 times. That might not be you. But you can clearly get reels that are being viewed 20,000 times without your face in it. You still have to create video content. And this is how I'm going to figure out ChatGPT. I have some new tools that I'm working with. No one wants to do their own social media. The only way you should outsource your social media is if you are willing to create video content to then send to the person who you hire to do it. Because when you do video content, your face, your voice, and your tone will always flow and follow the content. So here's what a gentleman who I've been learning about ChatGPT, he said that his website numbers were down 60% since it rolled out. He called it the SCED model. You have to develop your style. That's the S. You have to build a community. That's your C. You have to gain experience. Okay. So you can't live vicariously through other people, not in this industry.
Right.
Because no two real estate transactions are the same. And then you have to collect data, right? The D is data. And so when I read that, I said, that's what we're doing, right? We've developed in our videos and in our recordings, we've developed a step. We're building a community. We've gained experience because we're doing it. And the goal is to collect the data, right? And so I'm not worried about ChatGPT because I'm going to gain the experience.
Yeah.
And then the question is, how do we leverage that? But for real estate professionals, you have to create video content, period. And it's the only way you should ever outsource anything. If not, you're looking like a couple of hundred other people.
Yeah. I mean, I'm a total guinea pig when it comes to, and I've got to put this and I have no problem sharing the failures and, I got a coach. I started the podcast, but we didn't talk about video. And it's really not, to me, Joe Rogan can look at his downloads because he's got a big check from Spotify, but he already had an audience before he got in there. And what I found really, for me, it's really the video coming from the podcast. Yeah, it's great to get downloads and check your download numbers, who people might be listening to the audio, but really, it's those people that are listening to those 30, 60-second clips that you're cutting out of here is really the content that you're creating to put yourself out there. So when someone says, how many downloads you got? Well, yeah, according to Libsyn, I've got, these downloads on the episode, but when I cross over and I go over to my reels, whether it's the full length video or it's the shorts that I'm cutting out of there, I mean, it's multiplying tens of thousands of times. And I think the typical agent, you said some numbers, 170,000 and 20,000. I mean, would you agree you have to start, and it's in that the experience part of that, you've got to start the journey. And and hopefully you do get some ones, you get one view, because that's going to tell you, either, your title was bad, the video wasn't shared by others, whatever you're doing. If you're making people laugh, like people want to share that with their friends or whatever, you've got to get out there and start taking the steps and find out where the potholes are and find out, where you're going to jump, grab onto one of those rockets and, eventually some of them start to go viral.
That's true. And I started creating video actually back in 2006. A gentleman by the name of Freddie Taylor made me do a video, came to my office to do a video. And then when Facebook came out with Facebook Live and it hit the Android device, because the Android device did not get it first, I have been hooked ever since. So technically for me, I was waiting to consistently create video, and Facebook Live is my jam. The reason it's my jam is because I don't like to edit video. And so any platform that I don't have to edit the video because I'm not a good video editor, then I'm loving it. So going live is my strength because of my dislike for editing.
Right.
Even though I can easily hire somebody to edit it, right? But I'm also doing what is the preferred way to deliver video. Everybody's not going to deliver live video, right? So now we've given everybody an excuse, right? You don't have to do live. You don't have to put your face in it. So now it's just an excuse. It's too many great tools out here. It's too many ways to do this. The numbers prove it. We're preaching it to you. It's you don't want to do video, and that's it. Just say that.
Right.
I'm not going to do it because I don't want to do it. But it cannot be the excuse. This is the no excuse.
People are attracted to the authenticity of, we're live right now. If you're watching on Facebook Live, or obviously if you watch this when I put it up on YouTube, I'm not going in and taking anything out. I mean, we bob back and forth. If we stuttered on some words, whatever, we mispronounced a word, used the wrong word. I mean, that's natural of people having a conversation. And that you have to realize that your mind does not differentiate between the video and someone sitting in front of you having this conversation. You and I are going back and forth as if we were sitting in the same room across the table from each other. And your mind doesn't differentiate. So don't be bashful because you stutter. We all stutter or mispronounce a word or whatever that may be. I want to run down. I was in your LinkedIn and there was an article in there, and I thought a couple questions that were in there, but actually, I'm sorry. Actually, the first question is about your podcast, Social Selling Made Simple. Realtors learn how to use social media in tech. Tell how did that come about? Why did you go to a podcast to get your word out? What's your whole game plan behind that?
So we are actually coming up on our third year of Social Selling Made Simple. I was already repurposing my content, and I happened to be on a fellow realtor's podcast. And within a week of being on their podcast, I get all of these great deliverables back, right? I get the video on YouTube. I get the podcast episode. I get an email. Did I say blog post? And then I get these photo quotes, and I'm like, oh, I love this. This is what I want for my business. This is how I want my content to be repurposed without me having to repurpose it.
Yeah.
So I hired Pursuing Results to come in as my podcast host producer. The next thing was I knew that I needed a book. Now, the reason for getting a book or becoming a publisher and an author is not to get rich off of being a publisher and an author. It is to increase, right, your visibility, to validate in order to be able to charge more money as a speaker. And so I took my podcast and actually my second international best-selling book, which is The Social Selling Journal, comes straight out of podcast. This book actually just sold out in the Realtor bookstore at the last Realtor Conference and Expo, which is now NAR Next or NAR Next. And so I am taking my podcast, repurposing it, creating all that content on multiple channels, YouTube, Libsyn, my website, Instagram, LinkedIn. And then I took it, repurposed it into a journal that made me an international best-selling author. And now I have 6 of these bad boys. And it increased my visibility, my authority in the world of real estate. That was, it did exactly what I wanted it to do.
I mean, I've been telling people since because I've brought in all these top realtors and hearing all their stories, you know, single moms, the whole trials and, guys that came from corporate America and then crisscrossed over into real estate. And then some young people fresh out of college who, are killing it. And I was like, I need to put a book together, because they're common themes, different stories and put that together. And I'd really, love to see what you did and how you're taking it and putting it into the print.
This was the first one, the Modern Real Estate Professional's Guide to Success. I was the author. I hired a publisher. I have a checklist on what you should do for that. So in the beginning of the pandemic, when I came home, I had met a young lady. Her name is Crystal Swain Bates. She's a 6-figure author over on Amazon with children's books. And she basically taught you how to become a publisher on KDP. And I took her program, and right now I have 31 publications on Amazon. I have 6 international bestsellers. One of them I acted only as the publisher. One I was a contributor, like Secrets of Top Selling Agents that came out of Homes.com. Their second edition, I'm a contributor. Latinas in Real Estate, I wrote their forward. And so when we start thinking about it, we have the Modern Real Estate Professional's Guide to Success. We have the Modern Real Estate, the Social Selling Journal. And then what we came out with last year for an accountability tool for our members in 6 figures in 12 months. We came out with the 6 figures for real estate agents. And because my start was as a loan originator, and loan originators need to build their realtor relationships. We just came out with the second edition of this for loan originators, and I partnered with my son, Skylar. And so I'm just looking at the podcast actually provides a lot of content for, I hate to say this, for everything. So it's
I'm gonna have to clip that reel. I don't know if you know Travis Chappell, Build Your Network. He was the gentleman I hired as a coach. I know he's going around speaking now too, but that's what he's telling you. And it's not, you don't even have to even start your own podcast, just be a guest on a podcast. And there's several platforms, guestio.com is one of them to go on and put on. I was on Lee Brown's podcast. Episode aired early December. We recorded, I think, in early November. If you have a story, click on Lee Brown's website and, put in that you want to be a guest, and it's there. And the content creation is there. We already answered some of these questions. Here's one I think an agent is going to have, going back to the article on LinkedIn that I saw there. How do I easily incorporate social media into my work life and workflows?
I believe, so let me come back. If I'm looking at tools like Comantic, we need to bring in third-party tools that tell us the personality of people. Now, in undergrad, I took psychology. So I am the Facebook predictor. I can tell you based on how people post and things of that nature, what's going on in their life. There's some things that stand out to me as taking a psychology course, but there are tools that are way more in-depth than that. Social media is the only place that people are willing to tell you all their business in real time. To me, it is the greatest lead generation tool, if you're willing to listen. I believe every real estate professional should leverage social media for the purpose of lead generation. Here's why. If you leverage landing pages, a call to action and video. You can add, and I add about 4,800 new contacts per year to my customer relationship management system. The rule of thumb is if a person adds 2,880 contacts, they should net 20 closed transactions. If their average minimum price point is $250,000, they will earn $100,000 per year. How much time should they use? 1 hour per day. Social media should be leveraged in your business 1 hour per day, whether you post anything or not. You're thinking about, hey, people are telling me all their business. How do I extract that business, put it into my customer relationship management system to follow up with people? So,
all right, so let's simplify that. Let's keep it simple. I always like to use the term KISS, keep it simple, stupid. Is this in your book? I imagine
it is in the book. So it's an 8x8 strategy.
So you want to add 2,800 and some change people to your CRM every year. And okay, so I'm going there. So if I'm on social media, obviously I've got my friends, and then Facebook will throw a friend of a friend in front of me, or your people who they suggest you should be friends, maybe with that sort of thing. If it's someone, that obviously you have 50 common other friends together, you want to break into that, get that person's information and add them to your CRM. Is that basically what you're saying?
So I want to go back, do research, do videos on information that's needed by the general public, add a call to action, have them leave Facebook, go to a landing page and submit their information. That's one strategy. So with my son's very first Facebook Live video, he was not a realtor 48 hours. He added 63 new contacts to his customer relationship management system by talking about a grant program that was up to $40,000 in student loan debt elimination. That's one strategy. Mm-hmm. A second strategy, without doing any of that, is for us to come every single day, strategically listen to the Ford, family, occupation, recreation, and dreams of our friends and our friends' friends, and then strategically reach out to them. Now, by doing this 8x8 strategy for no money, we will actually touch 2,910 people in a warm audience in a calendar year. That means we then need to follow up and add a call to action. What would that look like? A landing page with a birthday coupon. Okay? So if you're going to go in and wish 8 people happy birthday, then have a landing page in exchange for all their contact information. They get some type of birthday coupon from you. Okay? So there are so many ways that we can leverage this information, but strategically reaching out to 8 people by 8 a.m. gives you 2,910 touches that you can do something for and have them to update their information in your customer relationship management system. Now, keep in mind, it's still only going to net you 20 transactions. That's just the way the math breaks down. Everybody's not going to do business with you. Everybody isn't looking to buy or sell real estate. But if you're strategic, the numbers, just the law of attraction and the law of averages, it is going to net you 20 closed transactions at $5,000 per transaction. And it's free. I'm going to say this again. It's free.
Well, I think you and I would agree. The typical agent, if they're not working on a team that's being fed leads where they got to call somebody back or something, they're like, okay, what do I do with my life? Well, I mean, in Chicago, it's cold in Florida now, but I'm sure it's not as cold as it is in Chicago. What are you doing? Are you waking up at 7 o'clock in the morning and spending, the first hour and a half doing this? And then you're continually building the snowball effect. And then year after year, because you're only adding to that 2,900 to 5,800 and so on. And it's just going to compound and have a compact. So that 20 deals might be 20, 25 or 30 in a year or two and so forth, depending on how hot the markets are and that sort of thing. Would you agree? That's what I'm visualizing what you're doing.
Yes. And here's the thing. I'm writing down this number to give you the exact number. So the first year that I came in as a loan originator, right? First year, I had no experience, gained the experience, right? I originated 96,668 in loan originating revenue. What was I doing every single day? Running that classified ad in the back of the Sun. That classified ad was averaging me 6 telephone calls per day, 6 people reaching out to me. Before technology, I did a no money down program, okay? So I know these averages work, okay? I didn't stop the classified ad. Whether I had money or not, I was running that classified ad every single day, charging it, whatever the case may be. I didn't have the bus benches then. I did have the billboards. Some of them were illegal. So I was illegally squatting on railways, railroad passages across the city of Chicago. And my automobile wasn't wrapped at that time. But I was going to run that classified ad every single day. And what I know from that classified ad, it was going to get me 6 people to call me, okay? I closed $96,668, okay? These numbers work, and they've been working. People do not want to do the consistent lead generation, which is why we have so much fluctuation in our income. Their thought process about being an entrepreneur is skewed at best. It's unrealistic. You have to work in and on your business every single day. And what I'm asking for is 1 hour per day to strategically reach out and update your customer relationship management system, period.
So you're adding the names on there. You're keeping that updated. Now let's flip over to what are you, from a content standpoint, what are you leveraging that CRM for, or what kind of things are you sending those people besides the standard birthday and holiday emails?
I don't send birthday and or holiday emails. So I don't do what everybody else does. I am different. Okay. I take great pride.
I hate the holiday ones that drive you nuts. Right? You get too many of them. Yeah.
I got a bunch of stuff here for Christmas. So let me tell you what people have received from me today, contingent upon the system they're in. A email, 9 a.m., closing on the blockchain and crypto mortgages, the future of real estate. That went out. I did a foreclosure short sale class with Wise Agent. Guess what they got this morning? Short sale success with Marki, step 3. It is a email with a video embed and download. So that was one. So this morning already, contingent upon who you are and where you are in the system, you've gotten some type of email from me. Now, at the same time that these emails went up, here's a great joy, right? There's a post on LinkedIn. There's a post on Facebook. There's video over on YouTube. It has syndicated to multiple platforms. So Spotify, SoundCloud, all of that has happened in my business before 9:30 a.m. in my time zone. I'm over here with you right now, right? We're creating even more great content that's going to go. I'm sure I'm going to do even more, right? Before the end of the day, because it's in my calendar to do more before the end of the day. So I send a email, and I guess it depends on what company you're with, but my company sends a email every other week. I was sending an email once a week. I became overwhelmed by my own emails. So we went to every other week. That was our sweet spot. And then on an occasion, if something special's going on, I will send them that information as well. But I'm posting every single day to social media. I know what has already gone out today. And then guess what? We're going to take that info. And that was Amy Churu. She's going to come in and do a private class to my private network. We already had negotiated that before that's going to be more content. So just consistently creating content. And I'm going to say once again, your glamour shot is not content.
Yes.
It's not.
Yeah.
It's not.
No.
So you have to help solve problems.
The content that you're putting out in the articles are because I think, the real estate agents have sources where, different real estate articles are coming out, or how much control and choice are you having over what goes out, or are you just having that just randomly different articles go out?
No, so I don't post other articles.
Stuff you're creating.
Yeah, it's the stuff that I'm creating. I'll tell you, I am the chairperson of B77, which is the Diversity Committee of Chicago Realtors, where we have one representative from each of the 77 communities. I source content specifically from the city of Chicago about those communities that I share with that group exclusively. Other than that, I will share something from the National Association of Realtors based on an email that they've sent me that might be relevant. So like now, we have a strong real estate landlord tenant ordinance here in the city of actually Cook County and the city of Chicago. They are going to come out with a 2023, what is supposed to be the return on security deposits. I'm going to post that because that changes every single year.
Right.
But if it's
your
not,
own, you put in a little, you repost it and then put some of your comment on it, your opinion on it.
Your comment on it. And because I'm on so many podcasts and interviews and Who's Who and Realtor Magazine and Most Charitable Agent in the city of Chicago, I'm getting content every single day that I've written, that I've been a part of, that I've been a contributor to. So I share a lot of my own content at this point. I don't need to share other people's content. So I don't share a lot of other people's content because I'm creating the content that they've told me that they want.
Now, if I understood you correctly, the Chat GPT, that could almost write a small article for you. Am I correct?
It can, but it's going to write an article based on what realtors need and want. So I'm very niched. I only work with realtors exclusively, right? So everything that I'm doing is going to be what is going to help realtors. If it's not that, then it's me telling people why they need to hire me, right? Because my second part of this is you cannot act like you don't know what I do for a living. That means that I failed. So it's kind of funny to me how many people get an attitude when people don't know what they do for a living or don't use them. That's not that person's fault. That's our fault. That means that we have failed in our sales and our marketing. So the people who don't use me don't want me to know their business because what I've clearly publicly demonstrated is that I'm the best choice. And everybody's not going to do business with you. Right. And there's no need in being mad. I know who don't want me to know their business. And I'm okay with that.
Right.
But you can't act like you don't know what I do for a living because my job is sales and marketing.
Next question. How do I incorporate my community and my real life into social media? And I think you tipped a little bit on that with the 77 communities a little bit because that's you're involved in real estate. You're involved with those 77 different communities. But that day-to-day real estate agent, what can they do today?
They need to ask themselves, what are they willing to share and share at a deep level? So I am an oversharer. And let me clarify that. I'm not the person who posts 5 times a day. But when I post, I'm giving you some depth, okay? Because I have decided that it's okay for me to share. But I was a sharer before that, keep in mind. So some people are very private. They need to decide what's that one subject they're willing to go deep, whether it's their love of cooking, whether they're a gardener. There's an agent here in the city of Chicago. Her name is Paulette Edwards. She's a gardener. So people have never seen her not dressed up, except for in her garden. And she lives in a condo, so she got the hat, she got the overall, she got it all, right? We have seen, people have now have a newfound love for her, right? Because she's willing to share everything about gardening. So people have to find that one thing that they are willing to share and become the expert of and share all of it. Okay. And it doesn't have to be your personal life, but you got to come up with something you want to share because that's how we build. I would guess endearment is what I'm thinking about. Might be the wrong word, but, and people, they know my business. They know I'm a blended household. They know my husband is losing weight now. They know that I had 3 surgeries in 65 days last year. They know my children's names, birthdays, where they went to school. They know this, right? Mm-hmm. My youngest son is going to Harvard this summer in what's called a Summer of a Lifetime program. Everyone knows that. People have called to ask for his Zelle to send him money. Okay. Everybody knows it.
Yeah. No, I was just, when you were saying that, and I was thinking what all the different things that, we deal here and, again, flipping through everyone's social media, right? What's they're posting. And, here in Florida, they play sports year round. So if you're a soccer player, you're pretty much playing 11 months of the year, baseball player. And I've never seen a real estate agent beyond posting, hey, here's Johnny hitting the ball or Sally kicking the ball, whatever it may be, actually break it down and become a resource and say, hey, this is what it's like to be a member of elite soccer here. My kid goes to training and we go to soccer practices and, and actually, create a video. I think it would go viral because there's a lot of people from Chicago moving to Florida and their kids want to play soccer. They're going to, tap into that. And that's something they're doing every day. They're sitting there for hours for these practices and games and so forth every week, sitting on these benches, watching these games. It's like, why not just, there's a great way to build your community into your real life.
It is.
Yeah.
And I post everything. Not everything. I have 5 good secrets and I'm going to hold on to them.
I'm going to brush you because I know we're going long here. This was a question from the article. Actually, you know what? Yeah, you can answer this one pretty quickly, probably. What is the best content? And you've mentioned it before, but let's kind of bring this whole conversation to a close. But what is the best content to create for social media?
The best content to create for social media, I'm going to give 2 answers, is video content because it's the only form of content that you can repurpose without recreating. But second, if it's not going to be video, it's the content that you're willing to create consistently.
Okay. All right. I understand that. Whatever you're willing to, because consistency is the key. Everyone keeps telling all you. I've been listening to Ed Milet's book, One More, I think it's called. He talks, he talks about that. But it doesn't matter. Any of these guys, whether it's these YouTubers and everything, are telling you consistency. Sometimes you're only going to get 1 view. Sometimes you'll get a couple hundred. Sometimes you'll get a couple thousand. But you got to keep putting it out there consistently. And Marki, and all your books, if everyone at markilemons.com, I hope you're bringing some of these books with you when you come down.
I am going to bring some. I just looked over here. I have
you need
some.
someone to man the
more.
table for that.
I'm going to bring
I'll
some
be
books.
there.
I'm going to be some books.
It's about, because I went on your LinkedIn, and you're pushing the 6-figure realtor workshop. Let's finish with that and just tell everybody what it's about, because they can go right on your LinkedIn. It's right there in front of them, or probably, I'm sure, your other social media spots. But the 6-figure realtor workshop.
So in closing, 6 Figures in 12 Months is our private membership group where monthly we provide a group coaching call, a monthly mastermind, weekly tutorials, and podcast previews. We've been in existence now over 2 years. We've had over 1,000 realtors, and a large percentage of them do earn an additional 6 figures within 12 months. Come on over to markilemons.com, MarkiLemons. If you spell my name correctly, you will find me anywhere on the internet.
That's right. So give us some details of, what kind of conversations are those agents having? You say you guys, you're getting on a Zoom type call, doing these masterminds. What are some of the challenges? So someone who might be listening to this can say, you know what, I have that same challenge. Maybe I need to get in that room to hear the answers. What are some of these agents?
Fear of video, fear of not having a business plan, not having a strategy, not generating enough leads, not leveraging platforms. They run the gamut and they're able to ask us anything. And if I don't know the answer, I know someone who does. And so we bring in consistent experts. So yeah, it's pretty good.
Well, that just goes, one of the common themes, from the top agents that I have on, we talked about education, and obviously you're a creator of a lot of education, but obviously one of those other things is surrounding yourself by other successful people. And one of the cornerstones of personal development, and being in that mastermind that you have, being around those other people who have a common ideology, I think, obviously trying to get better. And then hearing from not only yourself, but other greats that contribute into that mastermind to solve some of these very common real estate agent challenges.
Yeah. And it's some real challenges that exist. So I had to hop on another call because we
I know
got
we're going long here.
We got a Facebook call. So the gentleman is over here watching me now on a different device.
Last question, and then I'm going to close out. Is it more important who you know or what you know and why?
It's more important who you know. The reason I serve on so many boards is because they've opened doors for me that I could not open myself. So I would say it's more important who you know than what you know, and to surround yourself with people who are smarter than you.
I love it. I love it.
Yeah.
Marki, I appreciate your time today. This is going to be some great content. We'll see you on January 27th.
Thank you. See you soon.
Yes, ma'am.